Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Platinum Member Weekly Market Review, where we focus on our large cap crypto portfolio and our short-term trades. It's a member-only webinar, Crypto Investment Opportunities in Review for the 10th of May. Presented myself, Leon Hein, Managing Director of Investor Signals, Licensed Securities and Derivatives Advisor. The information presented in the recording is general advice only. If you'd like to discuss the ideas and strategies presented, please call the office on 1300 614 002. As a backdrop to the market, the focus really is that the Nasdaq continues to move lower, and just to bring that into screen here, the pattern that we've been focusing on in the Nasdaq, which has created a fairly cautious backdrop to the digital asset market, has been the sell-off that started in November last year, and we have a kind of cascading lower lows, lower highs in the Nasdaq. But of real importance is this price action over the last 4 to 6 weeks, and in particular the sell-off here under that red arrow, the cross below the moving average there, which occurred on the 5th of April. And predominantly since the 5th of April, the market's been below this moving average. We had one close above it and then a continuation of the sell-off. The stochastics pointing down. Now what we're looking at is, are we at a point where within this downtrend that we start to get buying interest build up? To have a look at sort of leading indicators here before jumping into the portfolio, looking at Bitcoin as well. We had been short Bitcoin off the red arrow there. It's under primary sell signal. Resistance was drawn in at that 4,800 or 48,000 level. The market rolled over. We started to see it trade below the average, and then a further lower high formation there at around 42, and it's continued to move lower. Right as we speak at the moment, the futures market in the US for the Nasdaq is up about 1.7%, and we're starting to see some buying interest build in the digital assets and strong volume. So with that, let's jump into the portfolio and have a look at both from an investor standpoint and a trading perspective, what it is we want to be focusing on. First of all, we would normally look at the current holdings. So if you're joining for the first time, these are the coins out of the large caps. So out of 100 odd coins, these are the coins that we think should be positioned in your portfolio. If you were a subscriber or a member of the service, you would have been notified on this buy date to add this coin to your portfolio. The algorithm does have a sell side strategy, which obviously provides the discipline to get out of coins that are developing structural downtrends. So if you look through the history of the transactions here on these sell dates, you can see we've had a large number of coins removed from the portfolio this year. And that's an important part of the strategy, having the discipline there. What you need to do to receive these instructions on when something's added or removed is simply turn on that envelope. So on your member login, you're going to have this green rather than grey, and you're going to receive an email notification when something's added or removed to this portfolio. The way that I like to look at it is the least number of days held. So we've had DeFi crypto added to the model portfolio today on the 10th of the 5th. It was added at $3.60. It's now up 2.9%, and it'll continue to track that, and we'll have a closer look at what's happening on that chart shortly. Other coins so if you're building your investor portfolio for the first time, here's what I'd like you to focus on. There's 9 coins that you can buy either at or below the original algorithm buy signal. So where you're starting is adding these to your portfolio, a small quantity of these coins to your portfolio, and making sure that envelope's turned on, and then you're going to get notifications as new coins are added, and you're going to add those to your portfolio and start building. And then obviously if you get a sell signal on any of those, you're going to remove them. So that's how to get started with setting up a longer term investment portfolio. You can see here from the number of days held, the investor portfolio has a holding duration of months and not days and weeks. So if we go back down to the days held, you can see the positions that are closed out. They've been in there. Sort of a short duration might be 30 days, and that's really short. More common, you're going to be up around 120, 180, maybe 300, sort of that 6 to 12 to even 18-month holding period. All right, so let's move through these coins. So I think I've covered on an investor standpoint. If you'd like more help with getting started on bedding down that investor portfolio and allocation sizes, please call the office and I'll work through that with you. In this week's recording, let's focus on the trades and review those patterns that we'd been watching in the prior week's recording. So with that, I get the least number of days to the top, click on DeFi, and we'll start moving through these charts. So DeFi has been added to the model portfolio, and that's reflected by the current signal being this primary buy signal, which is the green box there. So the day that occurs, it locks in on that day. If you're a subscriber, you receive an email saying add this to your portfolio. So if you're an investor and you're building a diversified portfolio of coins, you would now add a small amount of this to your long-term investing portfolio. From a trading perspective, what I want to do is go through the coins that are in the portfolio and talk about short-term trading opportunities in them. And as a reminder, what we focus on from a short-term trading standpoint is making sure that we're under a green arrow, and then we defer to the momentum indicators. And the momentum indicators are the stochastic, so what we'd like to see is this turning back up, and that's more responsive than the second reference point, and that second reference point is the price action above or below this moving average. So, and really what this is designed to do is create some discipline for you where you're not trying to catch a falling knife. What we're wanting to do is to see the momentum already turning, and we're going to hop on board that momentum. And as a trader, very different to an investor, as a trader you're going to run tight stop losses below this pivot low. So just to be clear, an investor still has sell side discipline. It's not a buy, hold and hope. So the investor relies on the algorithm engine to give the sell signals in the structural downtrends. So you still got both buy and sell side disciplines supported by the algorithm for your investment portfolio. But if you're also wanting to do trading and capture returns over days or weeks, this is what this next segment is about. So from a trading standpoint, looking at DeFi chain, we're on support, and that's reflected by the green arrow. We've got strong volume, but we haven't yet got the momentum indicators turning higher, and we don't have the cross above the moving average. So let's look at that as a reference point as we go through these next coins. So Polkadot, under algorithm buy signal. When we're looking at this last recording, the focus was from a short-term trading standpoint, was looking for price action above the moving average there. Ideally, just also doesn't hurt to reference the gradient of this moving average. Is the moving average trending down sharply, or are we starting to get a turn back up? What are the momentum indicators starting to say? So from a positive standpoint, looking at Polkadot, the momentum indicators turned higher. The volume's strong, which is good, but we don't yet have that closer back above the moving average. Now, some aggressive traders that are disciplined with their stop losses would rationalize entering this trade simply on the basis that the stochastics turned higher, albeit only marginally. It's under green arrow, and we've got this strong day, and they would enter this trade with a stop loss, a sharp stop loss below that pivot low there. If you're a little more challenged for time, and you're not getting that time in front of the screen to manage the positions as quickly and with responsiveness that's needed on some of these trades, what you're going to do then is allow this buying momentum to develop a stronger pattern. So what a stronger pattern would look like would be a close above this moving average, and possibly a higher low formation, and I'll talk about that as we go through these charts. So Polkadot, let's move on to the next one here. Loop ring under buy signal, very similar pattern to Polkadot. We have the green arrow, we have the support line there. The stochastic hasn't quite turned up here on loop ring, and we don't have the price action above the moving average yet. Binance rallying off the support there at 285, green arrow, early stage of the stochastic moving higher. So again, the aggressive trader is going to take this position and put a stop loss below the pivot low. Slightly more conservative trader is going to just be patient and wait for more evidence of an uptrend developing, and that evidence comes in two forms: a cross above the average and or a higher low formation, and it's only through time over the next week I can share that kind of analysis and patterns with you as they unfold. Cosmos, similar situation, stochastic turning higher, and green arrow, strong day, volume picking up. But again, let's just be mindful the gradient of these moving average, it's clearly still in a downtrend. A more conservative trader is going to want to see that evidence pattern that I've been talking about. Kadena, under the moving average at the moment, volume spiking, stochastic starting to turn up, but again, that evidence of that strong setup is just not there at the moment. So, and as a result of that strong setup not being there, it really comes down to you simply entering this trade on the basis that buying interest is picking up after a prolonged sell-off. The Nasdaq futures are higher, and you want exposure to the potential that this is either a market bottom or even a temporary market bottom, and you're trying to jump on board that momentum. In doing that, you must run tight stop losses. So again, in the case of Kadena, the stop loss goes below that pivot low, and the pivot low is reflected by that green arrow there. Chiliz, under buy conditions, support there at around that 13 cent level, but similar situation where the stochastics about the only positive sort of sign we can draw there. The close is strong at the moment, but the gradient of the average is certainly still heading lower. We don't yet have that bullish pattern of price action above the average and a higher low formation. FTX, stochastic moving higher, same situation. These patterns are similar, so I don't need to explain the same thing on every coin here. Maker, similar situation. Oasis, again, similar situation. Gradients lower, stochastics maybe just starting to turn up, but we don't have that full bullish price pattern developing yet there. Carver, Solana, same thing. Crypto coin, same pattern. Quantum. Now, Quantum has a slightly different pattern, and this is something you can go through the chart yourself and take a closer look at. But the fact that it's made a new low and the price action's now above that bar there, this is a fairly bullish move relative to the other coins. Volumes picking up, stochastics crossing over. So again, the more responsive trader's going to be looking at this and considering taking this position with a stop loss below that. The more conservative traders waiting for that crossover, and there we are back to DeFi. So at this stage, with what's taking place in the market, you can't do more than what has been discussed in this recording, which is if you're wanting to take positions in the market, reference that stochastic turning higher, place the stop losses below the pivot low. If you're a little more conservative, you're going to wait for that cross above the average, and as that unfolds, I'll update the recordings and we'll get them out to you to keep you posted on the technical patterns developing inside that portfolio. Thank you for listening in, and if you have any questions, please contact the office on 1300 614 002.